Hey everybody, what is up? I'm Neon Tiger and welcome to yet another Link to the Past Randomizer tournament match. This one's a little bit different. We're already into the next round of tournament brackets with SaltyPhry and Mentosman. So I'm joined by Mercer. How you doing, Mercer?
Pretty good, pretty good. Definitely looking forward to seeing this one. Two great runners. I think it's going to be a very exciting and close one.
Yes, indeed. So we have for you in Group E, the number 1 seed for this group, SaltyPhry, and the number 2 seed, Mentosman. So both of them advancing out of the first group of brackets, both 2-0s over their respective opponents, SaltyPhry over Cutsman and Mentosman beating Fear Agent. So this is a big one here. This is the first game of this series, and what makes it so big is the winner of this series is going to advance to the round of 64, the big round, and the person who loses this series will have another shot. They will drop down to the second chance lower bracket, and they will take on the winner of the two aforementioned runners, Cutsman and Fear Agent, in a final match to see who else will be heading on off to the next stage.
Yeah, but because this is a game one, it's just going to be the default settings of open 7-7. Nothing special going on beyond that.
We have another question. Is this round robin, or is it just coincidence? That 1 and 2 are racing? It is. Just happens to be that they both won their previous matches, and that's why they're racing each other. So no round robin this time around, where everybody plays each other. It's a double elimination bracket stage here for groups. So we have the 1 and the 4 seeds play each other, and the 3 and the 2 seeds play each other, and then the winners advance on to one side of the bracket, and then the two people who lost those best of threes are playing each other to have a second chance to get through.
Yeah, and I believe it does matter going into the brackets whether you go 2-0 or 2-1. I think that's how the bracket will be seated. There's a document on it in the tournament Discord that I admit that I did not fully memorize.
Well, you know what's interesting here? I'm sure that Salty and Mentosman, who, by the way, this is the second time in as many tournaments that we've seen these two together. They faced off in a very, very good round 1 matchup in the spoiler log tournament that we just recently had. But both of them, I assume, have decided to go with I always like to call them the wireframe link. But they're both running the same sprite here, and starting at Uncle, getting a mirror to start with.
Yeah, you're definitely not going to complain about seeing that early. It helps with lots of little pieces of routing.
Just a piece of heart here to finish up. Going to grab those pots real quick. And of course the tree pole, getting bomb drops out of there. More bomb drops for both runners. Might as well pick them up. You're going to need them shortly. We're seeing the bush toss. Now, I recently saw something here, and it's very interesting. People are starting to, I think, maybe consider using the bombs that are being thrown down from up above to kill the guards.
Yeah, both of them look to be doing front of escape with the 8 bombs they got from their 2 sets of Tier 1 tree pulls. You can do this with, I believe, 5 bombs if you do it perfectly.
Yeah, it never hurts to have the cushion, though.
Or you could just get a sword out of that first chest and not have to use bombs. That also works.
Of course, all that hard work to get those bombs, and then sword shows up in the first one. But both of them doing an excellent job here of getting the first kill there on the first guard with the the bomb placements, but won't have to worry about it anymore.
Some real sync through these rooms.
Yeah, not going to be too surprising that they're so close here. I kind of wonder too if they talked a little bit beforehand and both decided to do the same start here. It wouldn't shock me if they basically said, yeah, that's what we're going to do here at the start. Just kind of like a gentleman's agreement. Getting the mirror out, and we've got some bombs. Okay, so they're back to normal, and
Here as Mentosman heads for Dark Cross, and SaltyPhry save quits out.
Yep. So not a nice little sink anymore. SaltyPhry getting that shovel out of the sanctuary chest. Mentosman going to go down to Dark Cross at the moment.
Yeah, we may or may not be able to see what Mentosman gets out of this chest, depending on what it is.
Right, just got to get downstairs to get there in the first place, and there we go. We'll keep an eye on that as SaltyPhry heads into Lost Woods.
Oh!
Ooh!
Okay. Wow, okay,
Ooh.
on both screens.
Yeah!
So hook shot in Lost Woods, but a glove in Dark Cross that SaltyPhry has orphaned a little bit.
Right, and of course that's out of logic. We need the lamp technically to be able to get to that, but of course our runners, especially these two, they know their dark rooms and they know what they want to do. But Mentos is also going to get to check a couple of extra spots back here. We'll get to go and check the area right behind, so there could be some more good stuff here. We know there's a key and 2 more items.
Yeah, worth mentioning, actually, as of V31, the lamp or the fire rod will bring Dark Cross into logic, so
That's a good
either
point,
one
yep.
of those will work.
Yep. Because there are the torches down in the Dark Cross that you can light up, so... That's one of those changes that when you've been running for a while, you kind of have to actively make sure that you can remember that because it is such a significant change from what it used to be. And SaltyPhry just finding some money so far, money and a little bit of love, and some bombs. And 10 arrows.
Not the most exciting Blind's hideout I've ever seen.
Yeah. Can't all be winners, though. It'd be really weird to see it if everything was just sitting out there and suddenly you were in go mode at 15 minutes.
Yeah, a lot of the potential exciting early items we have already found. That first glove, the hook shot, the first sword.
Yep. You can still look for Moon Pearl, though. That could be anywhere.
Mentosman just turning his nose up at his 4th heart container.
You know, Mercer, that he had to be thinking that plan right from the get-go, because that was just like a nice clean walk right around whatever the item was. So I just assumed that he was like, I'm not going to get this whatever it is unless it's really good. There's this bottle though, so that'll help Salty a little bit. Won't miss the sick kid check after all.
Yeah, even the vanilla version, I believe that was completely empty.
Yes, indeed. And now Mentos doing the checks. Not really a surprise here to see Mentos going over to Kakariko right after SaltyPhry goes through this. Usually there's a pretty good meta check here where Kakariko tends to be the first decision for a lot of people. Sometimes you see the plays down to South of Grove, very rarely you see someone go to Eastern Palace, and that's generally item dependent because you want to have to dip into and out of Eastern as few times as possible.
Yeah, an early bow will send people over that way a lot of the time, but other than that, just a heart piece, not even a container on the library, so we won't be seeing that again except for when Mentos does his check.
Mm-hmm. And May's game is just some bombs, but we're not going to save and quit because we've got the shovel, so time to go dig it up and see what buried treasure we have this time.
So yeah, neither of the items yet to put that glove within logic for Mentos Man. SaltyPhry turns his nose up at red meringue.
Yep. So, Sir Svensson asking here in the chat: do runners generally take notes during this, or is it all by memory? It depends on the runner. If you're relatively new, you'll tend to rely a little bit more on the tracker to help out, or like a tracking program or page, just to make sure you can make sure you have everything. And there's some various options within that where there's different types of trackers and different ways you can set it up. Just a piece of heart in the chest here is SaltyPhry going to be making the move to drain out the little lake. Yeah, as Frylin saying, some use a program for the location, some just for the items, and some people don't use any. As far as the routing decisions to make, a lot of that is really, especially when you get to these more veteran players, because Salty and Mentos have been around for a while, they just kind of know based on what items they have and what they don't have, where they can go and where they can't go, or what they need to do to be able to mine or glitch to get to some items. Meanwhile, SaltyPhry is now going through Mini Moldorm Cave using that hook shot to make quick work of all of them. There's the other glove. Okay.
Okay, so it might be a while before we get our, light source. That might draw Salty away from the other glove for quite some time.
Yes, good news, bad news for Salty. Good news, does not have the glove disadvantage anymore. Bad news, Mentos is going to have the second glove probably before Salty gets it.
Yeah, it's entirely possible that the lamp or fire rod shows up very soon, but it's also possible that it's in, places like ice or, early TR or something crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or maybe it's a 5-6 crystal find where you have to get those and then get the bomb and then go to the Dark World, blow up the Pyramid Fairy hole, and go get it in there.
Ice Rod Cave having our incredibly valuable single arrow.
Correct. And yeah, Mad Rose is asking, no way to get the mitts before the gloves. That is correct. The way that the gloves work in the randomizer is they're progressive items. So each one is basically considered to be a glove upgrade, and they kind of slot over one another. So you saw there Mentosman picking up the Titan's mitts, while Salty got the regular gloves. Now Salty goes and does Dark Cross here, which actually could be possible. Could decide. Could go through the back way to do it. When he gets to the Dark Cross chest, that will be the Titan's mitts, where it was for Mentos the gloves. So it's not going to do it, but they kind of stack. The swords are very much the same way. The mails are the same way, and now as of version 31, the bows are also progressive items.
The shields as well.
Shields as well, yes. Then again, half the runners are like, I don't need a shield.
So yeah, the mitts upgrade for SaltyPhry is now like super isolated. If they find like Pearl plus Hammer, it might be a while before SaltyPhry gets mitts.
Yep. And that's kind of the thing to keep in mind is the more isolated something is, especially as you're going through the game and knocking off locations you would normally check, the harder it becomes to get back to route that in efficiently. So yeah, the more stuff that Salty's going to clear out here that's kind of around that area, the more difficult it's going to be to take the time to go back and want to do that because it'll be seen as a less efficient play. But we did get a check there of the overworld map from Salty, and we saw that it's 3 regular crystals at Eastern Desert and Tower of Hera. That's not too bad. Those are 3 very quick dungeons.
Yeah, you're never gonna complain about 3 Light World crystals.
This is a good play from both runners, though. You're gonna get this checkpoint from the old man, so that will be helpful until you get the flute. You've also got now with the hookshot all of Late Death Mountain open except for the area right around Tower of Hera.
Well, we have the mirror, so we have access to that as well.
Yep, that's a good point. I was thinking coming from the other side, needing the hammered, but you are correct on that.
Now, this play has more upside for Mentosman because if the Moon Pearl is up here, Mentosman can also clear out Hookshot Cave and Super Bunny Cave.
Yep, and you get the intel on. Oh, gonna go to the Dark World here. Actually, gonna go right up there's the Pearl, in fact, right there. For SaltyPhry, it's in Paradox Cave. A shield, money, and the Bloomerang. But yeah, but Mentos is actually going to go into Tower of Hera.
Yeah, now that does mean that either the flute or the lamp is somewhere readily accessible within the Light World.
Yeah, a small key, maybe not the best sign for Mentosman. What's in the box? It's the big key. Okay, you can go upstairs.
Well, I strongly suspect that Mentosman with the hookshot would have been able to get upstairs with Herapot anyway.
Right. But it's a lot easier just if you have the big key to do it instead.
Yeah, especially without boots.
And Salty making the walk of shame here without the boots to take the long way around Spiral Cave. And we're getting a bomb jump from Mentosman. 10 arrows. So what's nice for Mentos is after clearing out Tower of Hera, probably will make the play to go check East Death Mountain, and we'll get that Moon Pearl, and that will open up Dark Death Mountain for him as well.
Yeah, although what's not a lot of fun is doing this fight with Fighter Sword. Obviously it's the vanilla version of the fight, but that doesn't mean it's fun.
Yeah, that's true. Let's get some good patterns here, though. Now it gets a little crazy. And he's got it.
So I believe that is an item in the basement, if I was counting correctly.
Yeah. Only thing that's left is that chest down there. We only got 1 item out, so there is something hiding in the basement that's fire locked, but it may or may not be important after all. And indeed, Mentos is going to be making the walk over to the east side of Death Mountain, so we'll see the wraparound here. Go do Paradox Cave, get that Moon Pearl, Spiral Cave, and then probably go do Dark Death Mountain, Super Bunny Cave, into Hookshot Cave, and a check of the Trouble Rock requirement.
Yeah, we got a map check out of SaltyPhry. I did see that Skull Woods was a 5/6. I didn't really see much else.
So it's looking like from our wonderful tracker, by the way, Younker's wife, has found the 3 pendants that we have, which are going to be at Misery Mire, Swamp Palace, Palace of Darkness, which is the green pendant.
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting set to have as your pendants. Swamp in particular has a lot of things that are basically required for it that can be optional without it. With ice being a crystal, flippers are going to be logically required, but our runners may not actually need them. You can take flipper ice, you cannot swamp.
So yeah, it does eliminate a couple of pedestal possibilities as well. Obviously, flippers are off the table, hammers off the table. Trying to think, what else would be required for that? We've got the hook shot,
bow,
Kina Samaria, and yeah, the other bow. In the whatever medallion, of course, too, for Misery Mire, that also cannot be on the cannot be on the pedestal. So a lot of choices, but SaltyPhry now taking his arguments to the manager of Tower of Hera. Yeah. Easily done. And indeed, just as we thought, there's the other 5/6 is at Ice Palace. But as we thought, Mentosman is doing Super Bunny Cave and Hookshot.
Yeah, this is really convenient, especially if there does end up being something of high value in there.
Right, and the only thing that would be left kind of on its own would be Spike Cave, which we don't have access to do right now since we don't have the hammer or any of the items that would let us do it safely.
Yeah, and even with two bottles, like 6 hearts, that's not really great.
Yeah, because those spikes do a number on you. But SaltyPhry going over to Eastern Palace now. Mentosman gonna check the Turtle Rock requirement first. It is Quake, so vanilla medallion for that location.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, I mean, it might be fun, but hopefully not the vanilla catfish location.
All right, well, that's one check for SaltyPhry. Mentosman getting a couple hearts out of it so far. Meanwhile, Salty finding Bombos.
And Master
And the
Sword.
Flute is in Hookshot Cave.
Okay, so that means Lamp is definitely accessible somewhere in the early spheres of Light World.
Yep, could be in Agena, could be over here in Eastern Palace somewhere. And one of the interesting things as well is for Mentosman, this is also going to open up having that second glove. The Dark World portal on the west side here over by Village Outcast. So, yep, he's gonna obviously get the bird out first.
Yeah, actually, a decent amount of choices on where to go from here with Myths plus Flute. You can
There's a lamp.
Mess around in Mire area.
Yep, the lamp first chest. Eastern Palace has the lamp. For those wondering where the Titansmiths were, they're in the Dark Cross chest. Mentos went out of logic to go do that and found that as his first lift upgrade. The other lift upgrade is in Mini Moldworm Cave. So that's where Salty found his gloves and Mentos found the Titansmiths.
Yeah, so Salty now has all the pieces for an Aghanim play. That would be the time to check Dark Cross before doing that, because you're back at the castle.
Yep.
So that will possibly be how he gets back over there.
That would be the smart money. Meanwhile, Mentos gets 10 arrows out of the brewery. Probably going to go into Thieves Town here. Save and quit from SaltyPhry.
Yeah, got all 3 items. So no bow, can't finish the place off.
Yep, hammering that A button. You can see the input there in the bottom. Now it gets to be the interesting question. What does Salty do?
Well, this is castle play. We'll see if Dark Cross happens first.
Right. The question is, does SaltyPhry with the lamp check the Dark Cross chest, or is it straight up to Aga? We'll see here. It looks like he's going straight. Yep, he's going to go to Dark Cross. So, yep, good play.
Gonna probably feel a palpable sense of relief once opening that chest.
Yeah, because if you don't do that, you're going to Aga, and that's a massive time sink to do that.
Yeah, with the mirror, there's not even a need to set up a death warp, so this is the best opportunity that SaltyPhry would have for the rest of the game to get this location. So good to do it.
And that removes Mentos's advantage on items for the moment.
Yeah, other than that flute.
Right.
SaltyPhry's got the lamp, which both these runners can do dark rooms. It's faster to do them with the lamp, and also that could be, it's entirely possible that, for example, Fire Rod is on landmost, and you need the lamp to get there.
Yep, well, I was about to say, Salty's going straight over to the east side of Death Mountain. Had that hook shot out and ready to go from the get-go. Can be picking up the flute here very, very shortly.
Yep, Mentos heading to deliver a package to Gary.
Gonna make a stop at the South Grove Cave first. Drop that box off outside. There's the hammer. Hello. People just leaving tools around outside, there's no problem with it.
Yeah, that's a reward for doing this before Thieves Town, because now you're not orphaning the big chest.
And just a piece of big heart there for Stumpy. Take that lunchbox back to Gary, and here we go. Thank you, Gary, son of Gary.
Well, the real reward was the hammer we got along the way.
Yep. And I assume Mentosman will be walking on over to Hype Cave here, which we will see. We will see soon. Does it live up to its name? SaltyPhry saves and quits. Probably going to go to Sanctuary, and I assume we'll be making the walk on over to... Yep, Sanctuary. Make the walk over to Kakariko. Release the bird. Could say release the doves like a John Woo flick here, but... Oh, and there's Quake and the boots! Not a whole lot after that, but...
Pretty good, like 7 or 8 out of 10.
Yeah, that's a pretty good nice cave. You know, boots is nice, and Quake you need, so well worth the trip.
Yeah, both of these medallions are giving access to one of our crystal dungeons because that Bombos is currently our way into ice.
And of course, Mento's going to do the boots checks now. And Big Stop asking, is this all dungeons? No, not intended to be all dungeons. It could be oops all dungeons, which is certainly a possibility, but maybe not so likely anymore. We'll see. The ice rod's still hanging out there somewhere.
Yeah, nobody's checked Lumberjack, I don't think, so I guess it's possible AGA 1 is still on the table. It's pretty slim.
Right. That would just be mean at this point. Nothing in the boots checks. And it could still be Ped too.
Speaking of Lumberjack, it's 20 rupees. Would you like to do AGA 1 for 20 rupees?
I don't think anyone wants to do AGA 1 for 20 bucks. And Mento's now actually going over to check Eastern Palace here. We know that Salty's already been there.
Probably just gonna check out Sarashala's closet. If going into Eastern, I would expect actually to do like the dip into pod because you have the mirror. Maybe not.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe tracking down the logic on that lamp.
Yeah, you never know what could be in Eastern Palace anyways. It was early check, so maybe you figure there's something good here. Probably the lamp and maybe something else.
Well, the thing is the lamp would guarantee Mentos can clear desert, and resolving that logic chain would let Mentos just head over there, do desert, and get that out of the way.
That's also correct. That's a good point. In fact, he's going to mirror out right away. I think that's exactly the play, Mercer. He's going to make the trip over to the number 6 location, and we will see what's on the desert ledge.
Well, we're going to see what's in Meyer's shed and Checkerboard Cave first, I suspect.
We'll get to it eventually. But also a check here. It is Bombos, so we are good on medallions. Also a little bit of me is sad that's not ether. Means no bird tossing tonight. Here's Ice Rod. Mentos will be very happy to see that.
Yeah, it's always nice to get Ice Rod out of the way early. Usually that's a sign that it's pendant TR, but we already know it's a crystal.
Right, and it's just nice to have that because it's it can be such an elusive item to find. Since the only places it can't be... Oh, and Silver's,
wow.
hello.
Well, no, that's just it's progressive bow. There's
progressive
a weird
bow, yes.
Oh,
yeah, that's right. I forgot for a moment that we did not have the... I forgot for a moment about it being progressive bows, even though I said that. But, yep, that's just the first bow, but that's still a nice find. still gonna be very helpful.
Oh yeah, now that Eastern Palace is clearable.
Mm-hmm.
All sorts of options could do pod if looking for like the fire rod or whatever, but we're actually starting to narrow the items we need pretty sharply.
Yep. So actually, we can talk about this real quick, Mercer. What we still do need for go mode, and there's the flippers. That's a nice find. At this point, Canis Maria, Fire Rod. I think that's about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say you needed those flippers logically, but you don't really necessarily want to see them. It'd be better if they were technically go mode, so that swamp wasn't a possibility for the other items.
Right. And this gets to be the point where it starts to get to be very interesting on decision making, because you have almost everything, but that means that the things that you're looking for are far fewer in frequency, and boy, they can be just about anywhere.
Yeah, usually this means that, particularly with the fire rod, it ends up being in the front of Skullwoods, which I don't believe either runner has checked yet, because that's the last place you want to go without it.
Yeah, Salty now picking up all of the things in the super nice cave here. Meanwhile, Mentos will be making the trip up to meet Lamolas and say hello. Yeah, 34 minutes. This is a pretty good haul. Though I do always like to say, when you get a bunch of stuff early like this and it looks really good, very rarely do you have a true jet seed where it's just like everything is front loaded and it's just go go go, execute execute. It's usually get a bunch of stuff early and then you spend a good 40 minutes looking for the last one or two things, because the game just places them well beyond whatever you expect them to be.
Yeah, it's entirely possible that the fire rod is on PED, because both TR and Skullwoods are crystals, but that's like the only hope for PED at this point if you're rooting that way. Oh, we're going to see ice rod strats on Landmo.
Ice Rod Strats are really nice. It's one of those things that I think a lot of people don't. Well, obviously, a lot of people who play just the vanilla game, you don't have the Ice Rod usually at this point. But it's always a nice thing to keep in mind that works on them when you have it.
Yeah, you can wander over and pick up that ice rod before desert, and I know some people who do actually do that because it is much faster than like fighter sorting it.
Oh yeah, that is true. I always forget that that's actually you just need a bomb to get through that. So you can actually pick it up pretty early if you choose to do so. If you know that it's over there. And if you've played the game before, you definitely know that's over there.
Yeah, so Salty's on Mentosman's footsteps now. They've basically got the same item set.
Mm-hmm. He's the heart in the Kina's cave, so no agony tonight. Just a little bit of old-fashioned love.
Looks like Mentosman is heading for probably Thieves Town.
Yeah, either Thieves Town or Skullwoods. Meyer doesn't make a whole lot. Yeah, Meyer doesn't make a whole lot of sense right now. Obviously, as a play.
Yeah, given how few items they have for Go mode, it makes sense to maybe put off Skullwoods a little bit in hopes of finding the fire rod and just being able to start at the back.
Gonna get a hammer pig check though first. Not a bad decision. Super quick and easy to check. Especially with that hammer dash we're seeing Mentosman pull off there. One of my favorite things to do in the game. Just 100 rupees though.
Our first real look into Thieves' Town. Ice Rod strats on the first couple worms from SaltyPhry. Those projectiles from the Ice Rod, they do the same damage on this boss as Fire Rod, but they move a lot slower. It's a little annoying on the timing. See what SaltyPhry does after this Agena check.
So yeah, we do have a couple of possibilities for Salty, but I feel like obviously that he'll probably make the same play Mentos does here and just go into Thieves' Town. It's easy, it's accessible. There's 4 items in it. You can do it right now. Might as well get the crystal out of the way.
Yeah, it's also, of the crystal dungeons, they have basically the one that benefits the least from go moding. There's really just not that much time to be gained in it.
No, because, yeah, to get to blind, you pretty much have to go buy everything except for the big chest anyways.
Salty's going to flipper checks, and then we'll see. I actually thought that he might be doing ice, which is full clearable at this point.
Nope. Nice play there by Salty to avoid going back into the whirlpool and getting warped back to Lake Hylia. It's a bug net and a big 20 for his trouble. And he's going to do the bottle check here. And it's a fairy and bottle. That's not bad. Not bad.
Okay, yeah, it does not do Zora. Looks like it is going to be a nice palace play.
Ooh, interesting.
I mean, there is always the joke about, Ice Palace always having Fire Rod. If that ends up being the case, this is going to be a nice play for SaltyPhry.
It meant us finding that map.
Now, the awkward thing is, what I said about Thieves' Town not really benefiting from Go Mode is not true of Ice Palace, which is one of the 2 dungeons in the game that benefits the most from not needing to check all the chests.
With the other one being Swamp Palace. Or if you get a God Mode, Misery Mire, and you just have to go to the back, that also really helps.
Yeah, there's no randomness to Swamp's key layout, because you don't need the big key, and the only small key is in the first chest every time. So it's just consistently always gets a huge boost.
Mentosman getting the last item offline. It's a piece of heart. And getting the crystal as well. Now, here's the decision: is what's the next play? And a flute. Do we see a flute to 8? To 5. So this is probably Eastern Palace.
Yeah, ditched out after getting the lamp the first time here. We actually already know the other 2 items are another bottle and I believe a heart piece, because SaltyPhry was able to get all 3 during their first trip here.
So one thing to keep in mind, of course, Mercer, there's still an item in Tower of Hera, that basement chest.
Yeah, they could not access it when they cleared Hera. Did not have a fire source at the time.
So could be a situation where, you know, we've got that dangling out there, and almost like a Thieves Town big chest where it's just there, and you just have to remember that you haven't been there yet when you're hunting around for go mode items. That would kind of be the nice if you're Mentosman and you're just fire rod away from go mode. That's probably actually a nice place to be because you can just shoot straight over to Turtle Rock and then do Skull Woods.
Well, Fire Rod and Cane of Samaria.
Oh yeah, right. But yep, that was the last item. I guess I should have clarified. Semper Fire Dog asking, did they intentionally use the same sprite? I believe so. It may have been a pre-race decision to use the same sprite. SaltyPhry using that bombos. Take care of the resource, getting the cane, but the wrong cane for the for go mode. That is the cane of Burna.
Yep, that's our second item here. Also got that shield upgrade. Looks like the last item is going to need a little hunting down. I don't... Yeah, okay, it hasn't done Ice Tea Room yet.
Yep. Also, people in chat are yelling at me that they found my cane in Ice Palace, apparently. I don't remember losing one, but sure, I will claim that.
It grants great invulnerability and quite a lot of lag.
Mentosman, of course, completing Eastern Palace. So, he is up 2 crystals now. And going over to probably do the checks here that SaltyPhry just did. Maybe we'll see the Zora check. I mean, 1,400 rupees. May as well.
Yeah, I'm guessing we see that after Ice from Salty, now that Ice has come up.
Mm-hmm.
Not exactly empty, but empty-ish. The Cane of Burna does give us logical access to Spike Cave, so I guess it's sort of a fetch quest.
That's true. Alright, there is a mail upgrade there on the Zora Ledge. What's the big fish got today, though?
My guess is sadness. Let's find out together.
Yep. I wouldn't be surprised. It's almost always sadness. And SaltyPhry using the hammer there got the puffballs, and it is indeed sadness in the form of bombs. But got the puffballs over in the corner, got some nice hammer shots in on them. Gotta be careful. 2.5 hearts. Round 2, gonna be using, I think, the sword, and almost there. There we go. Nicely done from SaltyPhry.
It does have that fairy, so it was less horrifically close than it looked, but that's a long
Correct.
animation.
Right. Long animation plus you use up the fairy, so always kind of nice to be able to get through a dungeon without having to burn a safety. And some bombs there. Zora just had some bombs, unfortunately, so yeah, you were very astute on your observation there, Mercer, that Salty's going to do it after doing Ice Palace. Meanwhile, I think Mentos is going into Ice Palace now, so they will flip-flop positions.
Yeah, this is the last crystal that Mentosman can currently clear. Put it off as long as possible before dipping into unclearable dungeons or pendant dungeons, or both.
Right. You may as well do what you can do and then start to worry about what you haven't done yet.
Yes, I'm guessing we see SaltyPhry head towards Deepstown now. Now, heading out of there, we'll be in a position to maybe do Skullwoods. Okay, I'm wrong. Going somewhere else.
It's going to be the boots checks here.
Ah, that's right. I forgot that SaltyPhry had not yet done these.
Yep. And then you probably are correct, though. I would assume Village of Outcasts into Thieves Town is the next one. It does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, and from there, we already know not going to get a ton out of that, but we'll have the option to check, the front of Skullwoods, which we haven't seen yet. Check Graveyard Ledge, which we haven't seen yet. A couple of the other really obnoxious ones.
Yep. You've also got possibility of a pod play if you, as a runner, are so inclined to check that out. This green pendant, so there is an extra item within that dungeon for the green pendant turn-in. Plus, if you're salty, you can back-to-back it with Eastern Palace.
Yeah, comes with 5 items by default, so they get up to 6, which is definitely a nice little haul.
Right, and of course the only bad thing would be if there's absolute junk in there. Then it kind of is a situation where it feels like a huge waste of time.
Yeah, the fire rod in Basement of Hera is kind of funny because that would just punish them for going up there early.
You did not follow the logic, you must suffer. It's still pretty good pace here at 50 minutes. We're going to have 5 crystals down for Mentos and 4 down for Salty with Eastern Palace just to complete. So pretty good pace.
Yeah. And Salty's already cleared out all of the items there, so just would have to head straight for the pulse.
Yeah, and getting to the back there with what you've got is super quick. It's first dungeon in the game, so design is not too complicated.
It's also the only dungeon you're not supposed to have boots for, and of course is designed to be super friendly to have boots on.
Oh, Mentos, he's gonna do it. He's gonna do it. He did the hover. So for those wondering, I don't know if Salty hovers, but I absolutely do know Mentos hovers. I have seen Mentos hover the gap just for fun. I've seen Mentos hover the gap in Turtle Rock to get to the Trinex. It's super impressive. But yeah, Mentos very much knows how to hover, so it'll be interesting to see if he busts that out anywhere else in this game.
Yeah, I think I've seen the clip you're referring to, possibly.
Yeah, it's an old clip, but it's a good one though. A rhetorical answer in chat mentioning that in the preview before the race he was practicing hovers by doing the Turtle Rock room hovers, so apparently still does it. Of course, Mentosman now up to do the cold stare fight using bombos to melt the ice away. Just gonna pin him up in the corner here with the hammer. Nice start. They kind of split apart here very quickly.
Yeah, bit of
Also
an
really nice
bounce there.
Yeah, but really nice for Mentosman. If you notice at the top there, you might have noticed that when the snow chunks fall at the top, if they're right along that top line, they don't split apart into the 4 smaller parts. Basically just falls and you can still get hit by it, but it deletes the second half of that attack animation.
It burns the red potion for safety, and probably a good idea that he did, given that he was at 2.5 hearts and then took 3 hearts worth of damage after that. Cold Stare is like the worst boss in the game to take a death to outside of somebody in GT.
Yep. It's really hard when you to come back for 1 death against Cold Stare, much less like 3 or 4, which is an absolute possibility.
This looks like Swamp from Mentosman, doesn't it?
It does. Maybe. Yeah, we need for the 5/6 crystal. We do need Skullwoods, but Swamp those look like the play here.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what SaltyPhry does. Doesn't have the Eastern Palace crystal yet, but already knows there's no items over there. But Pod could be a play. Getting that crystal out of the way is a little incentive to go over there. Could also head to the front of Skullwoods. If Swamp ends up being a bust, this is a good chance for SaltyPhry to make up some ground. Basically been behind kind of the time that early search for gloves, or for mitts rather, cost.
Yeah, so we are seeing Salty go make the play into the front half of Skullwoods. As you said, Mentos is making a educated guess about where it might be.
Yeah, we've seen 1 item out of Skullwoods so far, just a blue rupee.
And there's Ether. Not really useful, but still. Hey, there's the silvers.
Yeah, you're not going to complain about that. That'll get you back some of the time. Not necessarily all of it for a full swamp clear, though. Still wants something else. Oh, and it's French vanilla fire rod. Because it's always French vanilla fire rod when you're drawn away from Skullwoods by other items.
Boy, that's sure living up to the meme or the logic that everyone says it is. But we still need Canis Samaria, so that's our go-ahead item. And Ped is dead and buried at this point, unless... Yeah, it's dead and buried.
Yep, yeah. Need Kane to get through Misery Mire, which is a pendant. So.
Right. So, Kane or anything that would lead to Kane, as far as fetch quests, would not be able to be on that pedestal.
Yeah, now SaltyPhry knows that with the remaining crystals that are available to him, there are no items left. Like, that was the second item in Skullwoods. Already got all the items out of Eastern. So the Cane is going to be elsewhere. It's not going to be along the best path there. That makes me think that he's probably going to do Pod over Swamp because of having to do Eastern.
I would agree with that. I think that makes the most sense. And I kind of think maybe for Mentos, probably the next play will be to make the trip over to Skullwoods. It just makes a lot more sense than going to Pod right now. And one, and boom, roasted for Mentosman getting that red pendant, but more importantly, getting the silvers. That has been a decider in past races this week, so we'll have to see if Salty makes the journey over to Swamp at some time.
Yeah, there's still 2 items in here. Gonna go grab those from the left side.
Right. And Canis Samaria could still be there. So you yet to see it.
I mean, you definitely don't do Pendant Swamp just to leave 2 items there. It doesn't seem great.
Nope. Now, SaltyPhry going to Swamp as the next choice here.
Okay, then we'll get the silvers, and this will end up evening out.
Yes. Could be Pyramid Fairy, though. Yeah, it's actually going to be Red Bomb.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot. Skullwoods is the other one. So Kane could very well be here. Pyramid Ledge check, too. I don't think we've seen that at all.
Mm-hmm. So there are 3 items right there.
Yeah, could head over to Pod from there as well.
I think I think you're definitely onto something there, Mercer, as far as routing wise, because you go up here, you're gonna go up here, do your Pyramid Ledge check, and then you'll be right here at Pod. You may as well go ahead and either choose to mirror and go to Eastern Palace right away, or you can go into Pod, clear that, and then do Eastern Palace afterward.
And that was another fairy in a bottle on Pyramid Ledge. SaltyPhry appears to be abandoning that poor fairy. Tempered is definitely nice to have. It's not, your go mode Kane, but you're not going to complain about it.
That's a nice little skip there, and we do have another sword upgrade for Salty.
Yeah, that'll make up for not getting silvers if Salty never does the swamp check.
Right.
Only having to do 12 spins on Ganon phase 4 instead of 24 is nice.
Yeah, but I feel like at this point Meyer is, if you're Mentos or Salty, Mentos is going over to Pod. Still not necessarily a bad decision here. Salty also goes into Pod. For Mentos, the good thing about this will be that if they both are in Pod, they'll both probably full clear it looking for items, but Mentos will be stuck with the choice afterward of either Skullwoods or Misery Mire. And I feel like it's going to be Skullwoods because you really don't want to have to go to Mire. It's so far isolated from everything else on the map, and there's no connection to it for anywhere else in the Dark World. So it's just such a long play to make.
Yeah, and without the cane, you're only, gonna get one item possibly out of there. Now the thing is, even in pod here, like if they find the cane, Mentosman has to keep clearing. He needs the fire rod. SaltyPhry, that's go mode.
That's a very good point. And if it's in neither, then there's the cape. And Mentos gonna mirror out, probably go to the back. Actually gonna go to the right side. Yeah, but cane here would be not fun for Mentosman. SaltyPhry would be thrilled to find it here. And I guess too, it also depends on how deep within the dungeon it is.
Right, like if it had been in that first chest where the cape was, it would have been pretty disastrous for Mentosman.
Right. But if it's the Helmasaur King drop, that's far less time loss.
Yeah, if Mentos were if it's on Helmasaur and then Mentos heads straight to Skullwoods, then it's pretty even, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Like Eastern and versus the Skullwoods full clear, probably still advantage Salty, but not decisive.
Right, or it may just not be here at all. And I think that's both items out of the front half of pod. Big 20 and the Magic Cape. So we'll see them very likely go to the back here.
I don't think either of them actually looked at the Bumper Cave item either, did they?
I don't recall seeing it. Because I don't think we've been back up there in the Dark World. Obviously, we haven't been in the Graveyard Ledge. So there's the big key for Mentos in the map.
Yes, now we can check if this is a crystal or a pendant. Wait, no.
Only the most important.
Mentos been setting up for a bomb jump, it looks like.
Yep. Not super surprised. I have noticed just from commentating a lot of races and watching a lot as well, the hammer yump used to be like everybody would do the hammer yump. Doesn't seem to be as much of a thing anymore. And people would do it even if they had a good setup for Palace of Darkness, where I didn't necessarily have to go in and do the hammer yump. Could still do it anyways.
Yeah, it's not really a huge time save, especially Mentosman did it very cleanly, so it probably was a time save on his side. But if you have to do a lot of buffering for it in a mode like this, it's not really a time save. Where it's huge is in Key Sanity, where it saves you a key for this dungeon.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it'll be pretty interesting here.
Yeah, so I believe Helmasaur has an item, and then also the green pendant will be a quick check after.
Yeah, so that also is in play here. So that's very much a thing to keep in mind. Fire Rod is in the the front half of Skull Woods. It's in the room that used to be locked simply by a key, but version 31, I believe we have changed that, so it is no longer guaranteed to be a key. It can be items, and it was very much so a fire rod.
Yeah, I definitely forfeited a daily race where I found that one out. And so Mentos coming up on Helmasaur King. I don't feel like you see the ice rod to flip that switch all that often.
No, not really. Usually it's a bow or a hook shot or something. Ice rods, that's a new one for me. You can do it. Most people don't go ahead and use that, but to each their own, I say. And the Mentosman taking down Helmasaur King.
Yeah, so not really a ton in here other than that green pendant. Let's see if that's worth anything.
Great. So we're going to see a little bit of a divergence here. Very likely, I think that Salty will just mirror out, and instead of doing what Mentosman is doing and mirroring to Hospital's hut, we'll just mirror at the opening there, and then get some mushroom. Okay. Well.
Yeah. Can't fake powder because that uses the Cane of Samaria.
But it does open up number 2. And Mentos is going to go there and turn it in. Why not?
I mean, you got the flute that makes this pretty, easy to do.
Yeah, Salty's going to go ahead and do that. So here's where it could be interesting when Salty comes out. Just a big 5 on the mushroom turn in. I wonder if we'll see Salty do the bomb carry to go over the portal there, so that he doesn't transport back to the Dark World and can just go straight to Sasrilla. It's a nice trick if you've never seen anyone do it. It's just a way to avoid getting warped to the Dark World through a portal.
Okay, it looks like Mentosman is going to find his fire rod here. We're going to be on a cane search. Unfortunately, there's the next most dense location for SaltyPhry probably is Swamp. But we'll see if that's the way he chooses to go.
Great. So, yeah, that's the big thing. And Mentosman about to find that fire rod eventually here. I assume we will see Walkabout in the front half. Yep. Unfit B2B asking anything in the swamp? Yes, the silver arrows are there. Also ether medallion, but that's not really needed for this. Okay, Mercer, so it's time for us to put our thinking caps on here and try and figure out where exactly that Cane of Samaria could be still.
Where it can be, somewhere French Vanilla and Meyer. It can be on Bumper Ledge, Graveyard Ledge. I'm trying to think if there's much else we haven't seen that it could be.
Hera Basement.
Yes, that's also pretty funny because of there. Salty running out of arrows at the end of that fight, but fortunately that was after the boss was dead, not before. Spike Cave, yeah, that's true. We haven't seen that, as chat points out. There's probably a couple others that I'm just blanking on, but those seem like the major ones. It can't be on PED because you can't finish Meyer without it.
Yep, and just as I mentioned there, we saw Salty pick up a bomb and walk through the portal. So that is indeed what I was expecting to see. So that he didn't go through to the Dark World.
I don't remember if we saw Catfish yet.
We have not. Nope.
So yeah, a lot of really kind of obnoxious checks left on, which makes sense because if they weren't obnoxious, you would have already done them.
Yep.
Yeah, so we'll see what Salty does. Unfortunately, like, by the math, the play that makes the most sense is Swamp, so that seems likely, but possibly not. Ooh, this
No,
looks
he's
like
going to
Meyer.
Meyer. Yep. I think maybe the thought here is there's fewer checks in Meyer. So if it's not in here, you can bail out quicker.
Yeah,
Then
the
go to
left
Swamp.
side Swamp thing is pretty awful.
Oh, gotta be careful, Mentos. Got it, though. Nicely done with the hammer.
So I'm guessing for Mentos' side, we probably see Mentos actually get that tempered sword out of Pyramid Fairy. Just because that 5-6, it's 3 quick-ish items.
Yep. Will be interesting to watch here.
I might see those graveyard ledge check first and bumper ledge checks, though.
I think that makes a lot of sense because they're otherwise you're here and this is probably the best time if you're Mentosman to route those in versus having to come back later and having to go, to Sanctuary, go to the Dark World, come back and route those in. But here it's just a quick dash over to check both. Nope, 10 bombs.
And of course, it is, super friendly Meyer when you're not heading for Vitreous.
Yep. Godmire 1 pendant. So that's probably the good thing for Salty is just has to check these chests in the front, doesn't have to go to the back and do biddy, because we know that Licane is not there. Nope, and it's not on Graveyard Ledge either.
Yep, so let's see where Mentosman goes from here.
That's, gonna be at the check of the pyramid.
SaltyPhry getting the full magic refill from the stun prize.
Mercer, I'm really beginning to think that it's in Hera basement at this point.
I mean, that's pretty funny if so.
I feel like there's a certain meanness to this seed, and that would probably be logically the most mean place it could still be. Would be locked behind the chest that you couldn't get to because you didn't have a fire source.
In fairness, they only didn't have the seed. Expected them to have the lamp to be there, so it's really their own fault, not the seed's fault.
Yep. I think Salty's just got one more chest to check against the map. No, maybe has the
cutscene chest yet.
Okay, I was gonna say I don't know if we saw the cutscene chest yet, so that's the last place that SaltyPhry has to check in Meyer, and if it's not there, it's not in here.
Yeah. Also, I don't know if we've actually seen any items at all yet. Like, I think Vitreous might actually have one of our 2 items.
Right. It's not going to be anything that we need.
Yeah, it's definitely not the cane because that's not actually possible. But...
Okay, so if you're Mentosman, where do we go now? Stand on the right side. Is this catfish? Maybe?
Yep, makes sense. This is the closest you're going to be to it. Which is not the same as saying you're close to it.
Right. Closest you are to the check, not necessarily the item. Alright. And no, it is just a big 50. Misery Mire definitely living up to its name. It is a miserable night to check that because there's nothing in there.
Yep. So this is looking more and more like your Hera play might be right. Salty is going to head towards Swamp, it looks like.
Save and quit from Mentos. It's not a catfish. Salty's going to go do Swamp, which is good for finding silvers, but it is not going to get go mode.
Let's see where. Okay, heading towards Hera. Looks like maybe.
It's going the right side. Is he thinking?
Well, it could be Spike Cave too.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's just gonna
do.
Maybe doing hook dashes right now. He's got the mirror, so I think he's thinking Hera. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can do Hera and then Spike Cave on the way down. Gets both of them out of the way.
Right. This is a good remembrance here of Mentos that you have this location.
Hera Basement's one of those spots that's just kind of like a toothache that nags at you. Left side swamp is the same way.
Yeah. I think what the nice thing is you're probably hoping, if you're a Mentos man, that it's at one of these two locations, because if it is, you're going straight over to Turtle Rock to beat that dungeon.
Yeah, and it seems pretty likely that it is. I mean, you'll have to save quit and then head back up if it's in Spike Cave. If it's in Hera, you can really just run over there.
Yeah, so this is actually, I believe this is our last dungeon check right here, this one chest. This is the last place inside of a dungeon that it can be that we've seen. So, let's see. Show me Kain of Samaria. Called it.
And the seed tried to tell you wanted to have lamp when you were here.
Yep, and that means that 1 hour, 19 minutes, and about 40 seconds Mentos Man in go mode. I think I've developed a new strategy for routing, and it's just go to wherever it would seem the most trolly for an item to be, and that's where the game has placed it. Well, Mentos having some trouble with the dead rocks.
Yep, and Mentos Man's going to be heading into TR with a pretty sizable lead now.
Yep. Swartefe, dumb percent route works every time. I like that. Yeah, Mentos Man now just gonna have to make the trip here, getting a small key, so just making the trip through Turtle Rock. Best case for him would be going into the last couple of rooms with 1 key already, so he doesn't have to do Laser Bridge.
Yeah, it would be nice to see a layout that lets him do that.
Yep. And for those wondering about what's in left side swamp here, well, there's nothing really. Nothing really of value. There's a bunch of trash. But Salty's gonna have to check them anyways, because you don't know that they're not trash. We do. Mentos does. Salty hasn't seen them yet. It's kind of as a runner, I feel like it's kind of you're getting it when you're in Salty's situation and you haven't found your item that you're looking for, and you're just checking stuff and you're going to all of the locations that are available and you're still not finding it. It's just kind of like a sinking feeling in your gut. You're just kind of like, oh no, this is somewhere dumb. Yeah, Burn Dash is one of my favorite item dashes in the game. It just looks really cool.
Yeah, I find some of the like Samaria dash stuff like really fascinating to watch as somebody who can't do it.
When they put the block down and then dash into it and kick the block, that's always really cool to see.
Yeah, even just some of the strats that for the last room in TR, which we'll probably see Mentos do here at the end of the dungeon.
Yeah, and you kind of have to feel like Mentos probably feels like. I feel like in general as a runner, you feel like you're always behind, even when you're ahead, because you never really think that you're ahead, but you don't also really want to externalize that too much. You just kind of want to focus. But when it's somewhere like that, someplace you've been to before and you had to go back and get it, it's definitely a feeling of, well, my opponent may have already found that.
Yeah, SaltyPhry gets to ditch out of Swamp by doing left side before Argus because had narrowed the compass and mapped down to the boss in the last room.
Mm-hmm. Smart play there, actually, by SaltyPhry. Gonna save a lot of time. Still gonna be behind, but still gonna save some time.
Yeah, now he's gonna go do the bumper ledge and graveyard ledge checks.
Yep. And Mentos has that key, so we're not gonna see a laser bridge tonight. It's gonna be a straight shot over the Trinex. Still probably thinking, especially with the Eastern Palace chest, the first one having that lamp, that I think that's certainly kind of a, well, shoot, I may be behind, so I might need to hustle here kind of feeling.
Yeah, and got a pretty nice. Super comfortable.
So Mentos not going to hover the gap tonight across TR, just going to take the easy way to get to Trinex here.
In fairness, hovering that is something like 5 times as long as just taking the ride.
Great. It looks really cool, but of course we're in a race here, so you want to go fast. Nice job on that Trinex fight. And with that, it is time to play the guessing game, Mercer.
Yeah, I'll go with my usual guess of 22.
Sounds good. Now, for those who are wondering how you play along, the bot's not working tonight, but you can still go ahead and guess in chat here. There are 22 locations within the first 2 floors of GT where the big key can be. Just need to put 1 and 22 in the chat. And the prize tonight for getting the number right or being the closest, if nobody happens to get it correct, is you get a lifetime supply of Mentos and Coke.
That you have to pay for at each time that you get it. What's your guess before he heads in here?
I'm gonna say 14. That's a good spot. All right. And away we go. It's not number 1.
Unless he wants to do the madman play and go straight to tile room, forced to head over towards left side after Hope Room.
All right, there's 3. 3 is off the table. Gonna get 4 through 7 here next.
Salty doing Spike Cave before Hera.
Not number 4. Not number 5. And Salty, unfortunately, taking a death there, but it's got the fairy, so that'll be helpful. Number 6. Ooh, and we're getting a check here of the... I think that's the first time we've seen the Sun Prize. It's a full magic refill.
SaltyPhry used that to refill earlier in Meyer.
But that's super nice to have. It'll be very helpful going through GT. All right, there's 8.
Yeah. Spike Cave had our butter sword, incidentally, so SaltyPhry on the full offensive loadout now.
Mm-hmm. Of course, with the silver, so it's not gonna matter too much. Tempered versus butter sword is not particularly too much time lost there in GT1, Ganon fight phase 1 and 2, and obviously 3 and 4. It's going to be identical. So pretty much once you've got tempered, you're good to go. You don't really have to worry about the Ganon fight too much on swords. And we just saw number 9 did not have it. Here we go. Rando room. 10's got the book. 11. The number is 11 tonight. Mentosman8 has found.
Opens a couple more chests. Probably looking for a key, a small key. Only at 1. Would save having to kill the mini helm up for a key upstairs.
Indeed, and I will say, looking like the first person to get it was Razamith with 11, though Neo Ash Taka did say 11 right afterwards, so both were thinking the right thing. And we'll also say Redorculus 11. I'll give you partial credit for that one. It is not a real number, but it does have the word 11 in it, so half points for you. But yes, Razormith is the winner. Congratulations, Razormith. Please make sure that you are outside for when the Coke and Mentos are dumped onto you. I didn't specify that they were going to be in bottles. But Mentosman is making the journey up the gauntlet here.
I gotta say, I feel like the maintenance on the room with both ice and conveyor belts must be terrible. Like, who is keeping those conveyor belts in working order?
I'm pretty sure the bosses in those rooms are actually responsible for that. We're just killing them, so it's like we're destroying everything that works here. This is their office. We're just coming into their office building and killing them. It's terrible. Mentosman going through the most satisfying room in the game, Part 1, also known as the accounting office. And most satisfying room in the game, Part 2, that was shipping and receiving. Making his way through the torch room. I apologize. That's like the dumbest comparison I've ever made. But Mentosman, making the way up through the torch room. Gonna grab that second key. Open the chests up here. Interesting decision. Wonder if he's looking for half magic.
Possibly, or maybe powder to get a health refill.
That could be it too. Yeah, I was looking for the powder for the two that are in here. Could be butter as well.
No, I don't really think Mentosman would care that much about butter for the Ganon fight. It's more likely that just may also just be on 3/4 hearts, in which case another heart piece get a health refill.
That's true too. So, ooh, got the mirror shield out of it.
After every enemy in the game where the mirror shield does anything.
Absolutely. A little bit close there on the Moldorm fight, but still. SaltyPhry making the trip now through Turtle Rock. The Mentosman is heading up to Mega 2 fight.
I'm pretty sure that was a triple. It looked like those the second and third one were far enough apart.
Didn't get anything there. Didn't get anything there. Just some inconvenient placements at this point. Ooh, and a double for sure.
No, that first one was just a double.
So 2-0-0-2-2. Which I just Googled, and it is a zip code for Washington, D.C. So, today you learn. Mentosman very quickly going through the first two phases here, using that hook shot to take the iframes to avoid the bats. And actually having to do a 2-cycle here on phase 2, but I believe he's got enough swings now. Should be good.
Yeah, gonna need to be a little careful. I don't think.
Oh. Well. He does not have a fairy.
I was in the middle of saying I don't think he has a fairy, and that said, he would need to die many more times for SaltyPhry to catch up. But can't feel great because he doesn't know that.
Right. And there's the powder, by the way. It was on Laser Bridge. And half magic. So that answers our question as far as if Mentos was looking for those things. Laser Bridge is where they were, and not in GT. Getting the warps all over the place here. He gets into phase 3 this time, so that's the good news. He's in phase 3, but those warps are not fun. Now he's cooperating quite well.
Yeah, he was. He just took that death intentionally to reset the warp patterns.
Oh no, start from my one true weakness. He's gonna get double here to start.
Gets the torch glitch.
Oh, he's gonna get maybe a double. Yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it for Mentosman. So get those GGs in chat, everybody. Mentos just needs to walk himself across the Bridge of Destiny here. And it should be a GG. Mentosman is going to take game number 1. Yes, indeed. And we'll see here in just a moment if Salty's probably gonna. I would assume Salty will probably go ahead and forfeit. Maybe not.
I think he's gonna continue on.
Yeah, he might go for the. Might go for just going up here, run this out. And I believe we have Mentosman8 in here. So, GG Mentos, congratulations.
Thanks. That was silly.
That was very silly. How are you feeling after that one?
I know me and Salty are very similarly skilled, so when I found the cane, I knew that hey, he probably Sigma's broken Mountain too. This isn't so bad, but he's probably also right on my heels, and yeah, that's probably why I died on Ganon because nerves were real at that point.
Yeah, I was going to ask when you found that cane in Hera basement with the lamp showing up in Eastern Palace, were you at all worried that Salty may have had that lamp going into Hera and may have had that already?
I actually felt a lot better that the cane was there than literally anywhere else it could have been, especially after the fire rod escaped me for so long. To have the cane be somewhere I could bet that he skipped originally too was a little bit of a relief.
Yeah, I would definitely say that. We did get to see what was in all the other dungeons, and wasn't anything too important in Mire, so you didn't really miss out on anything there. When you were going up GT there, we saw you check a couple chests at the top. Was there anything specifically that you were looking for item-wise out of those chests?
Either heart pieces for a full heal or the powder, because I knew my nerves were there. I've been a little bit rusty because I took a nice long hiatus to get my head straight with Rando, so I was a little bit worried about the Ganon fight, apparently rightfully so. So I was just looking for that little bit of healing.
Yep. Don't know if you saw, but Salty found it. The powder. It's on Laser Bridge.
The perfect place for it, really.
Of course, and of course with the easy mirror shield showing up, you know, after Moldorm 2. Every incentive to go back and go to Laser Bridge and get that, right?
I guess so. Also, shoutouts I said in the Irk room to Salty when we were talking a bit, but shoutouts to me going to Eastern to grab the lamp before going to the Mire area, so I could do desert while I was there, only to find the bow in Checkerboard Cave and be like, ah.
Yeah, that was quite a surprise to see that hanging out in Checkerboard Cave, and then it was like, hey, I got the bow now, and now I can go back and do Eastern Palace after I just came from there. Oh, go ahead, Mercer.
I was going to say, we've been requested to ask you about what you might have against your fourth heart container in Lost Woods.
I make a habit of skipping health when it's somewhere I can skip it, because I know I'll get enough from just stuff I'm forced to pick up. And I kind of just did that solely to mess with chat, because I knew they would be upset by me skipping it.
Nice.
Yeah, I believe it was also requested to point out that fire bat would not have killed you if you had had one more heart container.
That is also very true. I'm glad that didn't cost me the race, but
yeah, I think we're all kind of glad as well, because that would have been a feel bad moment for everyone. Be like, oh, that's really the reason why he lost, because he didn't pick up the heart container 5 minutes into the race. And of course, the item we just saw on pedestal is also a heart container, just to taunt you even more.
should have gone there after getting that cane and just, go mode admire to get that heart container.
Yep, chat's asking where half magic was, also on Laser Bridge, so those were the two items that were on Laser Bridge along with the key.
I have to say, I'm real glad that the choice of for sure 2 items versus 1 to 2 items. Going with the for sure ended up paying off. So I was down to a coin flip of 2 items on Death Mountain, 2 items in Mire, and only went to the Death Mountain stuff because Mire might have had an item locked on Biddy.
And in fact, we saw that it did when Salty cleared it out.
Indeed, and yeah, Salty's still going through GT here, so yeah, definitely keep cheering him on chat. He's doing well, doing really good on his execution, so almost to the top of the tower.
Not gonna lie, I took game 1 here, but I see myself winning this series. I feel like he's gonna take the next 2, but we're gonna have to see where that goes.
Well, you guys are pretty closely matched up, and you have competed against each other in a fairly close series before. So, it would not shock me if this. It wouldn't shock me if this went to 3, not because of any skill, just because of, as you mentioned, both skilled and with randomizer, especially when 2 runners of the skill are together like this, just one decision one way or one decision another way can throw the whole thing to one player or another. So.
Very true. I'm hoping this tournament continues its fantastic streak it's given me of having early boots, early flute, and early mirror in every seed so far. I'm really loving it.
Yeah, and as far as I know, version 31 does not have a preference like that, obviously, but it's just been kind of interesting. I've seen a lot of early flutes as well, so it just seems to be, at least from what I'm watching, and of course that's viewer bias because you can only account for things that you've seen, but yeah, it seems flute does seem to be showing up a little bit earlier in a lot of the seeds that I've seen run so far. And SaltyPhry now going through and doing the Aga fight. Boy, there were some of those Aga patterns on Aga 2 that were really, really tough as far as angles and whatnot.
Yeah, that looks like a 20121.
I'll kind
I
of
think so.
quiet up a little bit and let you guys deal with Salty's Ganon fight here.
Indeed. 20121, aka zip code for Uniontown, Virginia. Hello, if you're watching from there in Northern Virginia. That's Salty going ahead and taking care of business.
One plus one, very nice, pretty easy to get with butter, but still good to see.
On to phase 3, 2 swings in. There's a third one. Now we're kind of getting to see what the warp pattern. Actually, you know what? Pretty similar warp pattern, but just with fewer warps before that first sword strike.
No torch glitch, but is that a triple? Not quite. Very close.
Not quite. Yep. There we go, though. SaltyPhry. We'll be wrapping it up here in just a moment. We're going to have a GG here for SaltyPhry as well, walking across the bridge. Just about 10 minutes behind Mentosman, so get those GGs in chat. Very nicely done. And I believe we have SaltyPhry in here as well right now. So GGU, Salty.
Thank you.
How you feeling
GG,
after that
Mentos.
one?
GG.
It obviously could have gone better, but hey, that's how some of these go. So I don't know. You take it as it is. You know, it never feels good, obviously, when you literally last location an item like that. And I think I literally found every single item in the game, other than obviously some heart containers. Like the red mail, I just left, and I think the 4th bottle I left somewhere as well. And other than that, I literally found everything. I think I don't remember ever doing that before. So at least something unique happened in this seat. So I got that to go on.
Yeah, you also left behind. Both of you left behind the red meringue somewhere. Was it the dig spot? It might have been the dig spot.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Yeah. So just really that hard thing to find was that Canis Samaria. Were you betting, Salty, that it was not back up in Tower of Hera? Was that something you remembered as a check, or was it kind of just hoping that it was early
just-
on in one of those pendant dungeons?
Yeah, it just kind of got to that point. Like with the routing the way it was, like it's kind of hard to. I don't know. Obviously, you could have gone and got the lamp before, but who really wants to go into Eastern? Like when you can just kind of make it up to the Death Mountain easily, and you can kind of clear just about everything up there. Kind of go up there, hope maybe you'll find the fire rod or something like that instead. Obviously, nothing like that happened. And you might as well clear Hera while you're up there. I mean, why not, right? So it just kind of played out that way. And then when it came down to it, I never really had a good time to go back there. More or less, it was always just Hera and or just a one chest in Hera and Spike Cave basically up there. Like I was kind of shocked a little bit when I found the mitts because like I was fully ready to do Ag at that point in time. Like I had the fighter sword or the master sword, I had the lamp, and I had like full access to everything in Dark World if I did Aga. So I was fully expecting just to collect nothing from that one chest and head on up through Aga's tower. So I was kind of shocked at that point in time. That's what one of the things that really caught me off guard.
Yeah, I think the kind of the difference in time, a lot of it is Mentos had mitts when going up to the mountain for the first time because of doing Dark Cross early, and then you going into Mire during the Kane search where Mentos never did.
I went in there before Swamp, so it seemed slightly more attractive at that point. I remember even thinking when I was over there the first time, I'm like, it wouldn't have been the worst play to maybe just run in there and check. I mean, knowing that you're kind of only looking, well, I guess you were looking for Kane and Fire Rod, but when you're just looking for the Kane in a pendant dungeon like that, it's not the worst place to just run in and check, because it's usually reasonably quick just to get in and out of there, but I don't know. Obviously, it wouldn't have worked out at all in this seed. And Pod just seemed like the logical place to go first. I mean, you had to go over and do Eastern anyway, so I mean, why not do Pod as well? So then I just kept putting off Swamp and eventually went there, and I don't know. Eventually I cleared everything, and eventually I finally made my way up to Hera. That's just kind of how it goes.
I've got a problem with Swamp. I always go there before other things that are equally valuable.
Well, this was kind of one of those ones like, where do you really want to go, right? Like, in the end, you didn't have to go to any of them, which feels terrible, obviously, but it's what happens sometimes, right? Sometimes you clear all the pendant dungeons when you could have done none, right?
Exactly. And usually, that ends up pretty poorly, unless your opponent does the exact same thing.
And like, I realized there was definitely a chance that you were kind of doing it along the same path in this one, just because like it seemed more logical that you would have probably gone up Death Mountain as well. Like obviously anything's possible, but just that alone, just going to get the lamp first and having that when you got up there. Obviously the fire rod you couldn't have gotten at that point in time. So.
And I had the extra incentive to go up the mountain having the mitts already, so I had kind of that extra double factor of rushing up there before going to Eastern. I did check Sahasrara beforehand, but not Eastern itself.
I didn't even bother with that. I was just like, whatever, let's go up there and see what's going on. Because I figured almost certainly I was probably going to find something like the lamp or something like that over in the Eastern area. That seemed like the most logical thing to find.
Cool.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, yeah. So that's gonna wrap up both of your games number 1 in this section of the group stage here, where it's basically playing for the chance to advance to the single elimination bracket. So, guys, ready for? I guess you could say you ready for game 2 at this point, or is there any plans to take a little bit of a break and then maybe schedule game 2 in a couple days or so?
We got game 2 scheduled for 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Wow.
10 o'clock Eastern.
Wow.
Actually, the worst part of losing this game is I have absolutely no clue as to what settings we are. I got to pick the settings now, and I got absolutely zero clue as to what to do. So I guess I got to figure that out. That's actually the worst part about losing now, because I have zero clue as to what I'm going to do about that.
Yeah, I'd say that's yeah, it's a big thing because that's coming up in less than 12 hours here. So after a good night of sleep here, wake up tomorrow all rested and refreshed and ready to go.
That was actually going to be my question, was whether you had picked out the setting for game 2 to change, if any.
I'll change something for sure. I don't know. I gotta look and see. I'm not exactly sure what I can change, to be honest with you. I haven't really looked that much into that because I didn't have to do anything in the first round for it. So I'll have to do that. I guess now I should probably give them some notice as to what's gonna happen, but I don't know. We'll see.
Sure. Actually, just for the sake of the audience who is now asking for inverted, which is not an option.
Yeah, I'd be down for that if I could. How about a spoiler log race?
Oh no, I don't know if I can agree to that.
So you can do Sword Assured, Standard instead of Open, Fast Ganon instead of Defeat Ganon, 6-6 instead of 7-7, or Sword Assured. Oh no, our map's compasses. I said Sword Assured twice there.
And you can only change one, right?
Correct.
Jeez, really put on the spot with tough choices here.
Yeah, I like to pick now. I'm just
Right.
saying, I'm just telling you the start of the choice.
I kind of like the fast Ganon part, but I don't know. I'll give it a little thought, and we'll see.
All right, cool. So anything, I guess we can wrap it up a little bit here. Anything that you guys are really wanting to say before we start to head out here?
I'll throw in the usual shout outs to you guys, the commentary crew, the track, and the restream on Speed Gaming in general. Always a pleasure to get a restream, have people commentate it. So thank you guys all for being part of the crew.
Yeah, I'll second that, and I'll just let my item screen there and say the rest.
Cool. Well, obviously we want to say thanks to you guys for running, and make sure to follow both of these runners. They are excellent runners. Obviously twitch.tv/SaltyPhry and twitch.tv/Mentosman8. Get some excellent rando from these two. They've been around for a while in the community, and I've commentated both your matches with both of you before. Not together, not racing each other, obviously, but individually, and I've always been impressed by what you guys are able to do. So thank you very much for that. And of course, also want to say thanks to our tracker, Yoinker's wife. Thank you so much for doing all the hard work of keeping track of where our two runners here were busy running around collecting items all day. And of course, Mercer, thank you so much for co-comming with me.
Yeah, absolutely. This was a fun one to call, and it's fun to do this always.
Cool. So just to give everybody a little bit of a heads up on what the schedule is right now, we're the last match of the night at the moment. So we have wrapped up this. The next match is at 4:30 in the morning Eastern time. One of two possible games here at 4:30 a.m. Game 2 between Gem and Rune Spism on Speed Gaming. So come back here in a couple hours and you can watch that. If you're over in Europe or if you're just late night owl working the late shift this week and you can watch this at work, well, first off, don't get in trouble at work. Not worth it. But if you are able to watch it, that's going to be going off at 4:30 a.m. And then if that goes to Game 3, the Game 3 will follow on Speed Gaming at 6:30 a.m. But hold on, there's more. 7:30 a.m. Shady Force and Illis are going at it on Speed Gaming 2. And then as Salty mentioned, the run back for this one, the Game 2 for this is going to be 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, Speed Gaming 2 tomorrow. And then we've got matches throughout the day on various Speed Gaming channels. Speed Gaming 4, Speed Gaming 5, the big one, Speed Gaming, the original channel that you're watching this on right now. Possibility as well that we may have some games on ALTTP Randomizer, so be sure to follow ALTTP Randomizer. Be sure to follow Speed Gaming 2, 3, 4, and 5 for all of your Link to the Past Randomizer needs. There will be some definitely be some matches going on here. Got some matches for the next stage of the brackets already scheduled, and as well as anyone who's still got to wrap up matches for this week to advance to the next stage. So we'll be getting in a lot of rando tomorrow. But I will leave you with the last words here, Mercer. But thank you as always, everyone.
And my last words will be simple. Good night, everybody.
Yep, remember someone out there loves you and we love you too. Take care.